Welcome to Guitar Stories. This is the first in a series I'm doing talking about my guitars. This guitar here is an Alvarez Yairi DY74C. Now Alvarez makes fairly inexpensive quality guitars, but the Yairi line, which has this logo at the top here, is their high-end premium brand that's made in Japan. I got this guitar in 1981, shortly after I got married. This is the story. My wife had saved some money, and it was my 21st birthday, and she said, I would like to buy you an acoustic guitar. At the time, all I had was my Les Paul, which is my oldest guitar, my only guitar at the time that my parents had bought me. And I had wanted an acoustic, but we didn't have any money. But she had saved up some money, and we decided to go to a music store and look at acoustic guitars. I don't remember the name of the store. It might have been Dearborn Music, but I do remember the commercials. They had Crazy Clarence was the owner, and he dressed up in a straitjacket, and he would say stuff like, our deals are so great, I must be crazy. So we went there, and I may not have these numbers exactly right, but I believe we had $250. And if you consider that I was making $5 an hour at the time, that was over a week's pay. So that was quite a bit of money for us. And we went to the store, and one of the sales people came up to me and said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I'm looking for an acoustic guitar, something around $200. And so he gave me this acoustic, he just grabbed one off the wall that was like $250, because you had to haggle back then, try to talk him down. And so I played it, and it just sounded terrible. Back then it was like hit or miss whether a guitar was going to sound good, because everything was handmade, and the inexpensive ones were not made well. So I was playing it, and I said, this one's just not for me. And then a man walked over, and he said, well, what are you looking for? And I said, an acoustic guitar for around $200. And he handed me another one, and I played it. And I said, well, do you have any that sound good? And he started laughing. And he says, oh, you want something that sounds good? Okay. So he went over to the wall, and he pulled down this guitar, and he handed it to me. And he says, now, before you play this, I want you to come with me. Bring the guitar. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And I followed him. He took me into the back room where they have, all the stock and all the guitars and stuff. And then he took me into this little storage room. It was like a closet almost, full of all kinds of stuff. And there was a chair or a little stool sitting in the middle. And he says, sit on that stool. So I did. And I was getting ready to play, and he says, hold on a minute. I'm going to close the door and turn off the light. I'm like, this is getting really weird. But, okay, whatever. So he turned off the light and closed the doors, and I sat there in the dark, strumming, trying to play in the dark. And after a couple of minutes, he opened the door, and he goes, well, what do you think? And I said, I think it sounds really good. And then I looked at the price, and I believe it was like $650. And I'm like, but there's no way I can afford this guitar. And he says, well, how much do you have? And I said, $250. And he laughed. I'll sell it to you for $300. So that was like less than half the price. And I don't know how we came up with the extra $50. We probably went without some groceries or borrowed $50 from our parents. But anyway, I ended up with it. Obviously, here it is. It's a beautiful guitar. It's got rosewood back and sides. I mean, just gorgeous. This would probably be well over $3,000 if you bought it today. So I can't even imagine. If this is Brazilian rosewood, you know, it's got to be worth even more than that, but I don't know what it is for sure. So it's still a beautiful guitar, doesn't have any electronics. The cutaways were kind of a new thing back then, and I wasn't sure I liked it. But, you know, it grew on me. And it's got a few little dings. It's been well loved and played. So this is, 1980, 45 years old. I use it now mainly for recording and just general playing. I have a Taylor 717E that I just got recently that I use for live gigs and live streaming. So, Alvarez Yairi DY74C. I never memorized that. I have to look in at the label to see what it is. But it's basically, kind of like a Martin copy, a D40 or whatever. So, this is it. See you next time on Guitar Stories. Bye-bye.